can,
Thank
yeah,
you.
stay on if you want to, guys. I just want to say a big thank you to Dave for his show. Brilliant, Dave, as usual. And you're more than welcome to stay on and listen and join in. But what I would like to do is, while Kimberly and is Adele still here?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm still here. Yes.
Right, we got Sue is in the chat, is in with us as well on the show, and she was in Beechholme with me. Now, when we were talking a bit ago about if we said anything in them days, we were beaten or abused even more. So, this young lady, well, it's Sue, who was in Beechholme, went through a horrific time in Beechholme. And she saw so much abuse, and the person, one of the persons she saw abusing children was my sister's abuser, who abused my sister in the same cottage. Now, I'm going to bring Sue in because I want Sue to have a little bit of a say and tell her if you can tell the guys what happened to you, Sue, and what they actually did to you at age 13, building up to it, in the sense that what you saw.
Well, it wasn't just what I saw. I went through it myself. Mr. Gray coming in the bedroom at night and laying on the bed and trying to get down in pajamas and things. And I told him where to go, and it happened a few times. But one night I see him, something woke me up, and I looked, and he was she must have been 9 or 10-year-old's bed. I told him to get out, and I took him up to the office next day to report it. Went back, nothing was done, and then I don't know how long after it was, but I walked into the house one day, going up the stairs, and he grabbed me round the throat, tried to throw me down the stairs, because obviously he'd been told. And within a couple of months, I was removed from Beechholme, put in a mental hospital when I was 14. And then a year after, they found out that he was abusing, but it didn't do nothing for me. I was there another 2 years because of it, because by then my family all thought I was mad, and I got abuse from them and everything, so.
Feel free, if you've got something to say, Kimberly. If you want to ask Sue a question, similar on the lines what we were talking about a little while ago, if there's something you want to ask Sue, I mean, you can't imagine what that was like.
Oh, well, that's it. I'm like, I'm quite educated on the subject, and I was abused, not sexually abused, but so my heart is in the right place. And listening to I understand it. I understand it, and I know it, and it happens, and it's not enough people know. Not enough people know, and the fact that she was put in a mental institute, so common.
Yeah.
So common. And why don't people realize this? And as well, then, and what happens as well, then, if they have children, the children are taken. Well, and then you've got the people in the outside world saying, well, that doesn't happen for no reason. Yes, it does, because that child was failed. It's a vicious circle that's been going on since anyone alive can remember.
And people don't want to, especially with all these care homes right now, people just don't want to acknowledge it wasn't very long ago and is still happening. People want to think this is olden days care homes, and it's not. It's people who are, like yourself, Sue, are very much still here, very much still young, and very much still living the lasting trauma this effect.
But that's forever going to be on her record as well. It's forever going to be on her record. It doesn't matter the story behind it, but the fact that she was there, it's always going to be on her record. It's a mark on her record, on her life, for speaking the truth.
Yeah.
And you've got to be brave to speak the truth.
Now, girls,
it's easy to shut up, and it's easy to be quiet.
We've got Sandy's joined us. Now, Sandy also was in Quarriers in Scotland. The girls are from Wales, and they're telling us about what's happened. And then when we were talking again with Adele about Northern Ireland and so on and so forth. But this is an epidemic that was across the whole of the country. And you talk about this pandemic that we're talking about now. it has nothing on the amount of child abuse victims out there.
Absolutely, and this is something I feel very strongly about. I was very fortunate to come across an organisation called Freedom for the Children UK, and they were spreading awareness on child exploitation and child trafficking, and I decided I wanted to get involved here. And again, I just found myself just kind of horrified by I would consider myself a very aware and woke to what is going on in terms of child abuse, but yet I still found myself, I was having nights where all I did was cry and I couldn't sleep at the reality of like, oh my God, even for how well informed I am still so in the dark of how prevalent this is in our world. And when I was out talking to, so I was going out into the communities and I was holding peaceful walks, and the first people I was approaching was the people on the streets, living in the streets, the homeless people. And the second I started speaking to them, every single one of them came from an abused background, and they have just been failed time and time again. I found it very difficult to engage with younger people, but again, the older population, those I would say 50 plus, and again, more common as I was getting older by a decade, I started talking to them and they were just like, oh, thank you, somebody's talking about this, something has to be done, because you know that they are from a generation that even now, many of those people have not shared their stories of abuse that they have suffered. We think is swept under the carpet now, and is nothing compared to how swept under the carpet it has been. And we just cannot be a part of this generation that's going to carry on sweeping this under the carpet. The biggest bugbear of mine is to hear this, it's always happened and it always will. Yeah. So what, we accept it? We can't just accept it, and anybody who says that to me in my eyes is accepting it. You have just said to me, well, I accept it as a part of society. It's not directly affecting my children. So therefore, and I even know who people whose children have been affected, and they still don't want to know. Yeah. They still want to keep it within just those that know. They don't want anybody within outside the family to know about it. It's shameful, and we have got to end the shame that is attached to. That's a great point, because people do feel that. People think whether it's unclean, it's dirty. You've been touched and violated, and you are frightened that you might. People might cast aspersions on you for whatever reason. I'm going to bring Sandy in, because Sandy, girls, is sistership to what Sue. Sue has got Beechholme Warriors. I'm part of the Beechholme Survivors and Warriors. And Sandy's sistership is the Scottish Quarriers Warriors. And I'm going to bring Sandy in. Sandy, do you want to say something, mate? You've been listening.
Yeah, I was listening there. You were saying about with Kimberley, is that right? You were saying there about, abuse in a family, when that happens, that's kept quiet. That is so true. That is so true, because it was my father's brother-in-law, and he was interfering with my sister. And oh God, I was young. I don't even know what age I was. It was before I went into Quarriers. And this uncle was interfering with my sister. I was young, I didn't know what was happening, but my sister was crying. And it was we were sitting out in the back garden, and it was either a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, I can't remember, but my father's brothers and sisters and that was down, and my dad asked me to go in for his cigarettes and his lighter. I went in for him. My sister was crying, telling me to get my mother. So I got my mother, and the next thing, all hell broke loose. I didn't know what it was about, but they were all told to go home. And my father warned us not to tell anyone that God help us, you know. So that was drummed into us from an early age. There were a fella down the road for us, and he done things to me he shouldn't have done. And again, that was all brushed under the carpet. So this was us drummed into us. Don't tell anyone. So of course, when I travels along to Quarriers, bad things happened to me in there. And that was part of how I didn't speak out, because it was drummed into me not to tell anyone. But as the years went on, you just didn't know how bad it was destroying your life. But you still didn't want to tell, plus you were embarrassed, you were ashamed, because you started realising what sex was, and you knew what happened to you shouldn't have happened to you. So you just couldn't speak out about this. So yes, parents are needing to educate their children. Don't hide this away. Too many people do. They don't want to talk about it to kids. Up here in Scotland, by the way, up here in Scotland, then I'll talk about this later if it's okay, but they're teaching the kids in school about sex, but it's the way they're doing it, it's disgusting and shocking.
Sandy, I just want to say, just because I can totally empathise on that, on the family part, because it was the same for myself. My grandfather was abusing me. My mother was adopted, and she'd gone to Australia to meet a biological mother, and I had to go and stay at my grandparents for 6 weeks. My father lived in Ireland, and I think he came home for 2 of these 6 weeks or something. And sorry, just 1 second.
You're right.
Yeah, sorry, I see my daughter was creeping in the door there trying to ask me something. We'd had a police lady come to school. I decided I was going down the phone box. I was going to call the police. So I did that. They came, they called my father. My father had a chat with the police in the car, and then I got out of the police car and was sent to someone else's house for the night. And then the very next day went back to my grandfather's, and it wasn't discussed any further. My mother comes back from Australia. I think she's just somebody else who doesn't want to talk about it either, because she hasn't said anything to me. A few weeks, I don't know if it was a few weeks or a few months, to be honest. My mother had gone with my grandfather to the school to do with my brother. My grandfather made a comment about how I had lied when I phoned the police, which my mum was very confused about. She came home, asked me, but straight away she was very much asking me, has he touched you? Has he touched you? Very much focused on that. I then told my mum what had happened. And then I found out that my grandfather had actually raped his daughter, my auntie, throughout her childhood. So that's why my mum knew straight away when he said about the police. My mum knew what this was going to be in connection with. My auntie found out. She wanted it reported and was saying that she was willing to go to. I found out he had an affair behind my nan's back and had raped the daughter of the woman he was having an affair with. I believe that went to court. But even then, even after all those times, it just kept going and unlike some people, I didn't stop telling people. I would go to my friends' houses. I would tell my friends. Don't get me wrong, it stopped. As soon as I had spoke out about it, it stopped. But still, no matter how many adults I told, not one had a conversation with me about it. You know, in fact, up until still only 2 or 3 years ago, I'm having an argument with my father about it, you know, and when then an incident happened with my daughter, it tipped me over the edge and put me into therapy, because again, nobody was getting mad about what happened to my daughter. And again, it felt like it was being swept under the carpet by the people, the family involved. No one wanted to talk about it. And my therapist is saying, like, you just, all your life, because there's been other abuses in my life as well, that it just gets minimized. Okay, it happened, deal with it, move on. We won't talk about it no more. And it leaves you with a big sense of, like, you're not allowed to get mad over stuff, and these bad things that happen to you are just not important, and therefore makes it acceptable. People say to me all the life, how have you had the life you have, and you're normal? Because it's been acceptable all my life. No one has ever made it wrong.
Adele, can I just bring Sue in? Sue, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I was just, you know, after I got put away, obviously the family were calling me nut and everything else. But I used to go home at weekends to my cousin, and while I was there, her husband was abusing me. But when I tried to report it, nothing was done. I still had to go home to there every weekend. And it was, I mean, he did get put in prison because he got a 13-year-old pregnant. But after I'd had my first daughter, I was in a bed and breakfast, and he went past and he said, I'll be up later. And I was petrified, so I didn't go home. I stayed down a place called Centre Point till gone midnight with my daughter. And when I went home, there was a note from him saying he'd waited and waited, and P.S. I'm too old. Well, the next day, my cousin turned up, and I showed her the letter, but she didn't believe me, you know. And I was called all the usual names. And then it was her son that actually told her that, yeah, he saw him coming in the bedroom and that, because he was in the same bedroom. But it didn't stop them, you know, from calling me the names or nothing. They never actually knew why I was put away, but they still called me names. And even to this day, I still get it.
I did it. As I said, I've always been very vocal about things that have happened to me. And whilst my mum was in Australia, because my grandparents lived in a different place, for 6 weeks, I then went to a different school. And I told the children in the school what was happening to me. And like that, I started getting made fun of. The teachers knew what they were making fun of me for, and just no one ever said anything.
Can I just say something to the people that's listening now? Like, you were telling your stories, right? So people are going to think that was back then. But for anyone that's listening, I just want to point out one thing. This is happening now as well. Right now. I know of a child in Cardiff who's reporting this in their care home. They're being called a liar. The local politician who tried to investigate, he was suspended. So this is very much alive now.
Oh, and again, I have a family member. He was raped when he was 4 years old by our 15-year-old neighbour. And again, it was brushed under the carpet by the police. He reoffended. It was brushed under the carpet by police. Fast forward 24 years later, and I come across a petition about this man, or who is now a man, trying to get him removed from his property because he's living next door to a victim and he's on all these counts. I informed my brother, I shouldn't have said that then, immensely proud of him, and he's, he's going forward in reporting that. But that's 24, but there's 24 years of victims now.
Yeah, well, I can come back to when before, in my earlier age, when I was it was called respite care. We was called respite care, where we were taken into care, and then if they thought our parents were fit enough to have us back, they put us back home, and we moved backwards and forwards. And I remember my own father even at about must have been around about 4 or 5, he used to hit me with a leather belt. So the abuse started at home. And I don't know, kind of like, I don't know whether I was like the runt of the litter or I was an unwanted child being the youngest of 4. I seem to get the worst of it. I don't know why I seem to get beaten more. And my dad used to take the leather belt to me more than he did my siblings. And then it just carried on from. So you kind of, do you harden up, or do you just, you become very retaliative to what happens to you, and you become very offensive and kind of like disruptive with what was going on as well. And when people ask me the same question, and I think Jason's asked it in the past, does it make you an abuser if you're abused? Well, there were certain individuals, some of the older boys used to beat you up, and they used to make me fight some of the youngers. And if I didn't fight them, they would beat me up. So does that make me an abuser as well? Because I feel really bad about that part of my life.
I want to comment there as well, because I'm familiar of a family where like that they had taken on some children who weren't their own, and it would appear all these years later, due to again some trauma what seems to be coming out, was that each of them was engaging in some sort of sexual abuse on another one of those. Where it originated from, we're unsure, was who was one of them being abused in the first place by an adult, hence why with the ripples, or was it again more on it wasn't they didn't see themselves as abusing the other child, it was for sexual purposes, because you're talking 13, 14 here, but each one thought they were the only one, and it turned out all 3 were doing it to each other. Do you know what I mean? But neither one knew the other one was. So it turned out that they were all actually victims.
Hello, there's something else I wanted to bring up, and I hope Anna doesn't mind me bringing this up. But we had 2 other gentlemen, Joseph and Bobby Blair, that used to do a live stream each week on Wake Up UK, and they were both horrifically abused as boys by the Catholic Church, horrifically, and they were part of a large court case called the HIA inquiry in Northern Ireland. You may have heard of the HIA inquiry. If you haven't, just Google it. Hundreds of victims of this. And during one of their shows, we were discussing the effect that abuse can have on sexuality. And this is something that's come up with many, many people that have been on here discussing their abuse. Because, when you've been through sexual abuse, it can often make a person question their sexual preference as to whether they're gay or straight or in between even, and to the point where someone might think they're gay when they're actually not, and they move into a gay lifestyle, and then suddenly find out that they did that because they were abused, but they're not actually gay. And other people would have a heterosexual relationship because they feel like their abuse means that to be gay would be a continuation of an abuse, because they see it as they see that sexual preference as recognizable as in connecting to their abuse if they were a boy that was abused. So it can really mess people up, and a lot of people will go into the wrong sexuality because of their abuse, and then have to later on readdress their preference.
Can I just say, this also touches on something that myself and Kim discussed earlier before we were on, is about a body's natural reaction. And how a body can react to something. And so teaching kids now that their bodily reactions equal sexual pleasure is an absolutely horrific thing to do. Because as you said, especially for young boys, if they are being abused by a male and they're getting erections during their abuse, that's very confusing, and again can then confusing us in what they think their sexuality is.
Exactly. They may be a gay person, but they may reject that and
Because they've had a
rid of it.
reaction.
Yeah. And then they get married and have children, and they find that actually they shouldn't have done that because they're actually gay, and that's not a problem. They should have gone that way because that is their preference, you know. And it works both ways around. And I'm sure for ladies, how do you trust a man when you've been abused by a father or grandfather? So could that possibly lead a girl to therefore not be happy to have a relationship with a man and to be lesbian, and then maybe she isn't, you know, but she can't trust men, you know? I mean, I'm not a victim, so I can't speak from experience on this, but I've heard you guys, Alan, Sandy, the Blair brothers, all speak about this in the past, you know? And it's something that rarely comes up in conversation, you know. But abuse doesn't.
I think, Jade, a point to be made here as well is that it's the psychological damage. What everybody's said, kind of like the interlinking with it all, with not only the abuse, but some of the things the girls have said and so on and so forth. It kind of it does something to your head, and when you're later in life, you kind of go through so many different things. It's unbelievable. You don't know exactly where you are. It's a very good point.
Another thing there is in a relationship, and we find this quite common. And as you know, we help victims. We try our best to bring them from the victim to the survivor to the warrior. And we find out quite a lot of times that when the people are talking to us, they'll tell us about with their partner, you know, they've touched them maybe in the back, the head, or somewhere in the body, and they just lose it. They totally lose the plot. I've done that twice in my life. And it was with Jane one night, just the way she come up to my back and was touching my back, and that triggered me, just the way she grabbed me. And I snapped. Oh, don't you ever do that, you know? So yeah, it does. This does cause an effect. I believe, yeah, it does cause an effect on you. You know, it's got an effect. Whether it goes away, I don't know. But Jane knows that not to come up to my back, touch me, you know, below, you know, grab my backside or something like that, you know, carrying on. She knows not to do things like that to me because I can't handle that. I just can't handle. You know, and we do find that this happens to a lot of people. You know,
I think Sue wants to come in here as well, Sandy.
Yeah, I was just, you know, about being brushed under the carpet. When I found out my grandchildren were being abused, I contacted social services, and I was told I was an overprotective grandmother, and that, you know, we all get beatings and everything, you know, it's part of life. Well, that social worker did get sacked, but I'd got my granddaughter first when she was a baby, and then I was going for the boys, and I did eventually get custody of the boys as well, and I phoned up the police to see what action they were going to take against the stepfather and the mother and my daughter, and they said, we're doing nothing, you should be grateful that the kids are safe now. And that's how they left it. So, you know, I now have a 23-year-old boy, man, who doesn't leave the house, and he stays in his room. He comes down for his meals, takes them back, makes his coffee, takes it back. And if I say anything now, when I try and talk to him, he says he don't remember. And yet he was so badly abused out of all of them, you know, and I've tried everything to get help, but can't get any help.
Is that a blocking mechanism, Sue?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my daughter did it as well, my youngest daughter, because my first husband abused me and she didn't accept it. And then all of a sudden she came out with it, you know, but I mean, he just will not admit, you know, I think when he was about 12, I mean, he used to wet the bed quite badly. And one of the psychiatrists said that that was a blocking mechanism, that they do that to stop their abuser going near them because of the smell. But then he got to the point where he had to sleep in my room with me. And he used to make me sleep with a machete under my pillow because he was so scared they were going to come and get him. And every night the same questions was, why did she let him do that to me? You know, what can you say? I just said, I don't know, you know, but you're safe now. But he said, but I'm not, he can still get me. You know, and it's horrific to listen. It's bad enough you go for it, but when your grandchildren go for it, it's even worse. You know,
I've just been looking. If you see me looking down, guys, I'm only just looking at the chat room to see what's going on in the chat room. We got Dennis Barker's coming, and Spearthrow's also going, and it might be more reflective on what the girls were saying earlier on. Dennis earlier on said, "I've not seen any evidence that Disney owned Pornhub. Could you post a link source?" And then he's replied, according to Wikipedia, it's owned by MindGeek. And Spearthrow's going, it's something they need a couple of years ago. But the right I read it is apparently satire or whatever. Spearthrow's trying to say, but that's just come in 1930.
Yeah, so my grandchildren have never got any justice. We've never got any justice because it's just swept under the carpet, you know. I don't know where we go from here. So
I'm just going to make an apology to everybody. John was going to come on the show tonight. John Wedgett was going to come on the show, but he had a home emergency. Something happened at home. I don't have to go into details, but he couldn't make it. He was called off at the last minute with John, but he asked if he could reschedule, and he will come back on another night and have a chat with us. But what I want to say on John is that I think a big congratulations should go out to him and Daryl for the walk they did, nearly a 200-mile walk from London on the canals and walkways right to Bath. And they raised money for charity. It was to raise money, and it was a brilliant thing that they've done. They've done it before. Millie joined them a little bit, the dog Millie, and but she's now 12, so she didn't do so much as her legs would take her so far. But a big up to John for what he's done for that cause, and a lot of respect. Sandy.
He's an amazing guy, you know. And I've only known John for about a year and a half, probably. And he is, don't get me wrong, the first time I heard about this John Wedger, I was wondering, who is this guy? And then when I found out, you know, ex-Scotland Yard, I had my doubts. And I'll be truthful on this, you know, I'll tread carefully here, but the more I got to know John and then finally meeting him, he's one of the best guys I've met, you know, and I mean, the things that were said about him is disgusting and shocking. And the people, some of the people that was attacking John was attacking myself. And that's no kidding. And one of these people that was accusing John, I'm challenging her because she caused the death of a young woman up here in Glasgow. She caused the death. She's wanting to know who said this. This woman was wanting to know who said this about she caused the death. I said it. I challenge her to come to Glasgow and meet with me any time, and we will do a live. And I'll bring this young girl's family on the scene as well. It's disgusting and shocking the way that people, good people, are getting brought down. Even last night, I done a live about what we'd done in Glasgow during the day. And somebody come onto the site and it was some about effing rubbish. Who's that creepy beast? Calling me a beast. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I've got their name through there. I can't remember it. I really can't remember the guy's name, or else I would mention him. But that really pissed me off last night, really pissed me off. Somebody that doesn't even know nothing about me, but yet will go onto Facebook, he's a beast. How dare they? And this is what's causing people, good people, to walk away. They can't take the pressure because they know nothing about us. I've had it, Sue had it, up in Glasgow.
I've had it.
I mean, Yolandi Kendall's one of the worst ones. She is just one evil bitch, you know. I mean,
she's threatened to take me and Sue to court and all sorts, isn't she?
yeah, and she says I'm with the pedo elite, and I caused a bank crash in my hometown, and Alan did something with the railways, and we're bullies because we stood up to her. She doesn't like it, you know, and it's all lies, and then you get others jumping on the bandwagon, and then you get, what annoys me is survivors going against survivors.
Yeah.
We've had that.
Yeah, that's
You know,
that's the thing that
no,
really
no.
does hurt. That is when
Yeah.
another survivor attacks another survivor, and I don't know why this infighting, where it festers from, the infighting, and where one person would turn on another person. We should all be sort of linking together, all joining together, and we should be moving forward. We shouldn't have any other problems that we seem to get in it. I mean, at the end of the day, we still do it, and the reason we do it is for the children.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, Alan, when it comes to being online, okay, anybody can jump on a phone or a tablet or a PC and say what they want. There's not much accountability, and there's no filter for mental health. So anyone that's got mental health issues or concerns can jump on the keyboard and do quite a bit of harm and damage to people's reputations.
Yeah.
And the more, and these people that do this, they kind of build a following and an audience because they're so controversial in the things they say, you know. And I've seen that as a problem in many areas online, whether it's this topic, whether it's forced adoption, whether it's patriotism. You know, all across the board, there's people that love to be, they love to build a following by what they see as calling out, you know. And there's a lot of misinformation floats around, and you know, it's like Chinese whispers, you know, things get spread around and manipulated, twisted and turned. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are doing a disservice to people that are true victims and survivors. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah. Mental health.
Very well said, because let me just come in a second and just say about John. You know, John's going to take a backward step now because of what's happened, because of all the attacks and everything else that's happened. He's saying, why should I go out and give people a platform and help them and give them a voice? And you know, they challenge every single thing he does. If you look on YouTube and you look at the views from some of the podcasts he's done, you're talking about the hundreds of thousands. Some of them are 200,000. Now, to get them people following you and watching you and looking at your videos, you have got something that the public is interested in. And you're giving people the chances, like the Blair brothers, myself, Sue, Sandy, Brian Clare, Michael Tarragon, many, many more I can name.
I can see that Adele's got the hand icon up. I'm presuming she's got a question or wants to come in. I wanted to ask Kimberly and Adele if they've had any negative sides since they've been speaking out about these things. I mean, because in most areas there are negative sides of it, and
we absolutely, absolutely have. I've been called a paedophile. Mm-hmm. I obviously advocate for child because why on earth would I be stopping this? Why would I be stopping something that is for child abuse? So yeah, that we get a lot of. We get just told that we're conspiracy theorists. Yeah. We're spreading propaganda, and it doesn't matter how much evidence you give them. Even when presented with the WHO documents, like one response was, "Well, anybody could write this." It's you're like it's knocking your head against the wall. So yeah, I do. I want to say that I I think most people are understanding and with it. But it would, since I started campaigning and spreading awareness around child abuse myself, my social media friendships have also changed a lot. And even with all of this that's going on with COVID, I would imagine those of us who are aware of these things are also very aware that the government could be corrupt in other areas. So I would say my personal social media, I'm preaching to the converted. And I think that everybody's in an agreement. And then what will happen is our campaign will get posted in a group, which is a parent forum or a selling group. And then I go into the comments there, and then I realize people have not got a clue.
Yeah,
You know,
mostly. I get blocked and then abused. I do. Because obviously I've been doing this for years anyway. I'm just a crazy one up the road, is always preaching about this. Do you know what I mean? But now people know the fact I had to put out a video. The people know that's not me. You know, and I think that has made people realize, hang on a minute now, what's going on here? Because I always talk about sex education. I always talk about children's rights, and now I'm like a mad woman over this. So what I find is as well, the people that try to challenge me, I think they are trolls because they haven't got the answers for it. I always use as well, I use academic responses with them because I know what I'm talking about, you know, so I will always put things into perspective that way. For me, it's not a debate, and that's the way I go about it. But what I will get screenshots then where somebody would have shared a post of mine, blocked me, and then called me names. Last night, somebody told me I was called racist, although I've never, ever, ever mentioned ethnicity in anything I've ever spoken about. But it does happen, but they don't do it to my face kind of thing. So I mean, I will get the odd challenger, but then, you know, they don't last.
And it's also they will
go on,
they'll go onto your profile, and obviously they want to try and find something on your profile. Again, people are very naive to sex trafficking in children. Even yourselves, you would know if you got moved from one home to another to be abused, that is trafficking. And I would have people then go onto my profile. They can see that I'm talking about trafficking. Well, to them, trafficking is just it's Hollywood. It doesn't exist. It's something that happens in movies. It happens, you know, it's very, very rare. And then I'm having people about this because I'm talking about this, laughing, saying, "Oh, go and save your trafficked children," or so. And you're like, how can you go onto somebody's profile that you can see is obviously actively campaigning against child abuse, and your response is to laugh at them?
Go on, sir.
You know?
Yeah, John, like he brought out all about the SRA. He's brought so much out, you know, to what's going on. And people, you know, he doesn't argue with people. That's not him. He's got his reasons for being like that. You know, he's not confrontational with people.
No,
and people say, you know, why hasn't he named names like in the police force? Well, they're so stupid. He can't name names because he's fighting against the police. But they keep on, and all this keep going at him all the time. You know, how much could a person take? They can only take so much. And John's really had enough now. You know,
but whatever happens, Sue, he's always going to get the stigma. And I know this is a horrible thing to say in some respects, that he's always going to get a stigma. Once a copper, always a copper. Ex-Babylon, ex-Old Bill, and stuff like that. People don't forget. And they've got such a hatred for the police. They will use anything, any stone to throw, they will use.
Yeah, but it's destroying a man, and that's wrong.
Well, we know that, so we know what he's done to the guy, and we've already turned around and said you only have to go on YouTube and see the thousands of followers he's got. You know, you only have to look at his videos and see who he has spoken to. And okay, like people said to me, but you're with John Wedger, and I said, well, I don't speak for John Wedger. John Wedger speaks for himself, and it's the same as like people say John Wedger and Bill Maloney. John doesn't speak for Bill Maloney.
No.
Can I jump in a second, guys? Sorry, I have to leave now. I've as we're talking about all the children's rights here in the world, and I got to go and give my daughter some of hers by some motherly attention. But I just want to say thank you so much for asking us to stay and talk. And again, just to remind those who don't know that myself and Kim, we're from Public Child Protection Wales, and obviously we're running the campaign Education Our Say, Our Way, which is wanting to fight the mandatory element.
We're trying to link up, Adele. If we can link up, it'd be good.
Absolutely. And can I just say to you as well, that also I'm part of an organisation which is Freedom for the Children UK, and they have been, okay, it's coming to a quiet now during winter, and they're also trying to get their charity number up and registered, but they do massive campaigns and walks, spreading awareness on trafficking, exploitation, and it may be really helpful because I'm sure they're always looking for speakers to speak at their events, to share these things as well. So I would love to see, to link up with them also. And
before you go, what's the logo you girls are wearing?
This is our Education, Our Say, Our Way logos.
Have you got a badge?
This is our
Badges
campaign.
made in it?
No, it's something we've had that Kimberly has been talking about, getting little badges.
Send me a template and I'll get some done for you.
We've got we've got the education one, and we've changed it into Public Child Protection Wales now, because what we've done is we've set up an organisation to challenge all the things you've been discussing tonight. Our website will be live now in a couple of days, so obviously we're only just starting out, but we deal with these issues on a personal basis for us, supporting families all the time. The workload's getting immense. It's too much. So we've had to set up an organisation, and everything that you're speaking about is what we're about, you know?
If you could send me a link, if you could send me a link to your link to your Facebook page or a link to your website through Dave, I'll get it shared out for you to all of the Wake Up UK followers, and I'm sure Alan will share it on his Facebook page as well. And Sue and Sandy have also got Facebook pages they can share things on, so we can help share your website out.
And also, girls, on with a lot of other groups as well, and all them other groups. What we're trying to do is get you linked up with some of these other guys out there, and some of these great campaigners, because there's some brilliant street campaigners out there that go out every week.
Yes, you remember as well for England and Scotland that obviously this legislation is already in place for you guys. So that's what we want people of Wales to realise is we're lucky. We're given a chance to stop this. We've been made aware. And we have just started linking up with the campaigns that are running in Scotland and England. And although we've got our own battles, there's got to be unity here through all organisations and all people who are affected and know about child abuse.
Brilliant.
The thing is, we've got a little bit of leverage here as well. We've got the election next year, and if we can do it, you know, England's got to do it, and Scotland's got to do it. Like Sandy mentioned, the education there. We get a lot of our resources from Scotland schools.
Yeah.
You know, what is going on there is absolutely incredible. They've got chickens being tied up with string to demonstrate bondage, and Nutella, bananas going into jars of Nutella. Now, this is a UK issue because the UK government signed up to it. You know, so although we've got our devolved governments, I think that's just a bit of a whitewash myself, you know, because we have to unite. We have to unite. And like I said, we've got this leverage in Wales with our election next year. We can get to North and South in one day. And this is what we've got to do now. We need to show that if we can do it, everyone else can do it, because this is a slippery slope to legalising everything.
Well done, Kim. Brilliantly said. Brilliantly said that, girl.
Sorry.
So again, thank you so much for, and can I say to Sandy, Alec, for all of you for sharing your stories, and I just wish they were uncommon, but they're not.
If you get time, Adele, just type in on Google, just Google Beechholme. There's
Yeah,
loads of villages on
It does,
Beechholme
the
and
name
stuff like that.
Beechholme sounds very familiar for me, so I think I have come across this
Yeah, remember it's
before.
2 E's and 2 H's.
Yeah, okay.
And an
So
L.
it's like beach as in a beech tree and a home, but
Yeah.
they put it together. So it's
Yeah.
the 2 E's and 2 H's.
I
And
will.
And
I'll
it's
look
got an
into
L
that.
in it.
Sandy, quarries and Beechholme Warriors is
Yeah.
something you can also link up with
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, that's Beechholme. It's BEECH.
You would think this stuff should be front mainstream news.
Oh, absolutely. How
You
corrupt
know?
are they? Goes to show how corrupt they are.
Yeah.
Did you actually see, before you go, did you actually see the BBC, what they did with the poppy? It came on at 6 o'clock in the morning and they showed a poppy, them both wearing poppies. 5 minutes into the show, the poppies had disappeared. And I think that's disgraceful.
Yeah. Yeah.
We attended a protest yesterday and we pulled out a list of convicted policymakers. A lot of them were school governors as well and school teachers, and I held up the list of 35 convictions and everyone's face dropped. But when we stood and pulled out 29 pages apart, you know, it was 29 pages long and they were all absolutely amazed.
Yeah.
Well, why doesn't everyone see this?
Yeah.
You know, because it's controlled.
We say this all the time, Minsu and Sandy, you know, like it's kind of like proverbial banging your head against the brick wall.
Yeah.
But the thing is as well, this is a faceless crime. This is a faceless crime. Look at the impact now you get from Sarah Payne's face and from James Bulger's face. And, you know, you don't see these faces. And then by the time people come forward, they're older and it was like, oh, that was awful.
Yeah.
That is
Not
it.
seeing the
That
child
is
that
it.
it happened to.
You girls need to keep going because you're actually spot on and you're very, very good at what you do.
Thank you. And you keep on as well and keep giving other victims, other survivors.
You know where we are, so if you want to come on Monday night, just come on and jump on and
Sunday
join for a
night.
chat.
Yeah.
It's a Sunday night, every Sunday night, 7 o'clock. Jump on with us. You're more than welcome. If you're going to get something out of there, use our platform to get it out there. We're trying to do all the best
Brilliant, thank
work
you.
with you.
Thanks ever so much for your time, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nice
Good night
meeting
then.
Yes, Kimberly, cheers to do.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Spoke brilliantly, didn't they?
Lovely ladies.
Brilliant.
And they present really well.
They really did speak well.
Yeah, they present really well.
They need to carry on doing it. They need to carry on doing it because they've got it really well.
Yeah.
They clearly know what they're talking about. You know, they've done
Absolutely.
good work and
Kim, there was
they're
when
well
I didn't
educated.
see Adele put her hand up. I was going on one, and then Kimberly came in, and when she spoke, she was on one, and she was really good. Both were.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a little chat a minute. I'm just going to have a look in the chat room, see if there's anything in the chat room.
I think they're both really good ambassadors for what they're speaking about.
Oh, absolutely. Well said.
Yeah, and it'd be brilliant to join up with them as well.
Yeah.
You know, makes our chain stronger. By linking, you know.
Well, they put their link in the side chat, so I'll put it into YouTube and I'll put it onto the chat room. I'll share it with you guys as well. I'll send you a link over.
Oh, thank you.
I like that badge. That badge is good.
In fact, I'll send you the link now on Facebook so you can link
logo. Yeah, I've seen something on Jason. You put it up there, and then Cole's coming in, evening people, and Angie says, "Love you all, XXS." Hi guys, I've been on YouTube chat for half an hour. I can't get on. I fully support. Johnny's a really good guy, and fully support you all. Love you all. Blah blah blah. And then Cole's the last one to come in at 1954. And he said, good evening. So good evening to you, Carl. And thank you for joining us in the chat room.
Yeah, brilliant. So, yeah, so what we're talking about now. How are you, Jason, anyway?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Good.
Hectic weekend, but yeah, it's good.
Well, I know the feeling.
Yeah. He's been washing his hat. I've been washing my hair.
Oh yeah.
Wash and go, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Sandy laughing there. Look at him laughing. He's laughing. He's like, Come on, Sandy, you normally full of talk. Have a talk for a few minutes, and I'm just going to have a wee.
I was just going to say that I used to use head and shoulders. It's only shoulders now.
Donut.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, sorry.
trying to think what's been going on this week. You know, I can't think what's been going on. You know, just this Halloween and lighting the candles for everyone, which I've been doing. But yeah, so now we're in lockdown again, and obviously the shops are getting, you know, they're going out grabbing everything like it's the end of the world, you know. But I ain't doing it, you know. I'm not rushing out. It's just stupidness, you know, and for the people that can't afford it, you know, they only get paid every so often, they've got their benefits or whatever. You know, it's a joke, really is.
Well, that yesterday, we'd can't say rally, I don't know, we'll get pulled up. We had a wee meeting put it that way, in Glasgow yesterday, and they were a fantastic turnout again. It seems to be going, we're getting more and more each week coming along, different speakers coming along. It's brilliant to see that. But we had a thing going, and we're collecting toys for families that just can't afford Christmas. And we're going to give out these toys. And we had a couple of bags of toys yesterday, and some dirty so-and-so stole them.
Scumbags.
Two Pakistani women seen at the bags earlier, eyeing them up. But we never thought anything about it. And then later, the two big bags of toys were taken. Somebody had stole them. You know, so if anybody is listening in and has seen anything yesterday with the toys getting stolen, let us know. You know, this is for families that's struggling. We're trying to do our part for them, you know, for Christmas. Because Christmas is a hard time for everybody, but especially if you've not got money to buy your kids presents and stuff.
Mm.
I think this year there'll be a lot of people that have been struggling with the lack of income from, you know, in lockdown and COVID. And it's going to affect everyone's Christmas, I think. There's a lot of people are going to be affected, you know, especially businesses that run their own business and haven't got wages coming in, you know, or they're trying to pay their staff, you know.
Yeah, a lot of shops down here have gone bust. Just can't deal with it, you know.
Yeah, same thing here.
All over, like James just said, it's everywhere.
I've got the local shops that were closed down, and they just said they're not going to reopen. They'll just shut the business down, you know.
Yeah, like here.
I know loads of people that have been laid off work and actually been sacked and just told that you haven't got a job anymore, you know, nothing to come back to, you know. It's affecting a lot of people.
Yeah. And this is what causes the suicides as well, you know.
I noticed today when I went past, when I drove through Louth, there's a shop called Peacock's, a clothes shop.
Yeah.
They're closing down as well.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fortunate my youngest is a teenager now, and they understand, you know. But the young kids don't understand. When you've got 5, 6 year olds or toddlers, they don't understand why mum and dad haven't got money to put presents onto the tree and spoil them like I do every year. They don't understand, and you wouldn't want them to understand because you want to protect your children from that.
Yeah.
You know? But it's heartbreaking to not be able to spoil your kids at Christmas, because all parents want to, don't they? You know, all parents want to give the kids a magical Christmas, you know. But
yeah,
what your pocket can afford, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of kids will be confused this year, I think. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky. I've got a daughter that goes out in the January sales, so by February she's got every present.
Yeah.
You know, so
every year I say I'm going to do that, and every year I don't do it.
No, I know I don't either. You know, but it'd be mostly money.
And as kids get older, it's harder to know what they're going to want 11 months ahead because
Yeah,
I don't know what teenagers are like. That age is all about clothes and makeup and stuff, isn't it? Like what they want one month is different to next month. It's gone out of fashion or it's just not cool anymore.
yeah. Well, I just give my great granddaughters money to put in their bank accounts.
Well, money's always good, isn't it?
Yeah, and then the boys they get money. The girls are buying things, little bits. But it is getting harder. And now I've been landed with a £1,800 bill. It's going to be even harder. But
What's that for?
because when I was at my other house, it's a water rates, but they were taking the money out of my benefits, and I moved out in March 2018, and I think it was in the June my benefit it stopped, so I presumed I'd paid it because they said they'd pay it all off, and then they sent me a letter here. So, and I said to them, "But I pay my water rates here." She said, "No, it's for your other address. They stopped paying it in the June. So now I've got to pay that as
They're
well."
bastards, aren't
Yeah. But hey ho.
You shouldn't
they?
have.
Well, there might be a way around that because it might be worth speaking to Delroy on that one because he might know an angle to that. Because if you've in a previous property, if you've moved to another property, you and like you say, you thought it was paid off.
Yeah. Yeah, but we just have to see.
But they do this. They try it all. I mean, I've had that with the gas.
Yeah. I've had it with the electric.
That as well.
I've changed the company and I pay by key, but I'm in arrears.
Yeah.
How does that work?
They're all as bad as each other, mate. They're all. I mean, I see. We were talking about lots of different subjects earlier on with the girls, and we was across the board on everything, every subject out there at the moment: politics, child abuse, and everything, the pandemic, and everything. And if you look at the amount of money that generates money and the amount of people that want money from you, even now, we're in a pandemic, and we're not getting the NHS soon, but people are still paying national health contributions. We're still paying our full council tax. We're still paying our full electricity and our full gas and our full water. What the hell's going on? The government should be stepping in. We vote them in to legislate on all these companies to stop all this happening. And the amount of times it's been spoken about in Parliament and nothing ever gets done.
No, exactly. Because they just don't care. They've got the money to pay their bills. It doesn't matter, does it?
That's it. The MPs again have given ourselves another wage rise. Let's see. No. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Say that again, Sam. You didn't catch that.
Pardon?
Say that again. I didn't catch that.
The MPs have just given themselves another pay rise.
Oh yeah, 3,200. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and yet they can claim for their council tax. They can claim for their food. And all
The chicken sheds, the duck pond sheds, or whatever.
Yeah, two lots of rent.
Yeah.
And cleaners.
KC chicken delivered by Deliveroo.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to get worse. And
oh yeah, it's going to. Do you know? Look, we were talking about this all same thing, and Sean. I watched Sean's show these last few days, where Sean's been on, and he's so to the point and so at it, and he's been going on. Do you know? I can't see us probably having another election, because how long can they go with this COVID thing? Could they turn around and say the next tier is something completely different, and they're going to bring out the police, the army, and put them on the streets? Are we going to get a total dictatorship where we're not? It's going to have such a knock-on effect. People are talking about the amount of businesses are going bankrupt now, the amount of psychological damage, the amount of suicides, the amount of elderly people that haven't seen their loved ones, their grandchildren, and it goes for aunts, uncles. It's totally controlling us. It's consumers. Now, if the pandemic, as they say, is going up and up and up. So they're going to say, we're going to have a national lockdown because it's got so bad. Then the theory is masks don't work. Because if they tell us to wear a mask to protect others, these masks can't work then if it's going up. Something's not right somewhere. They're lying to us. Well, they've been lying to us from
The
day
thing is,
one.
they reckon that help out to eat out didn't help much, did they? They said that basically made it worse. Paying everyone to go and have like a free lunch or a half price lunch everywhere, you know. I mean, they lock us all down. Then they tell us all to go out and have lunch. Then they go, "Oh, you've all got locked down again because you're spreading viruses."
Go to work, don't go to work. Stay at home, don't stay at home.
One leg in, one leg out. Do the okey cokey. You know, it's
Yeah,
mad.
I mean, they haven't shut the borders. They're still having people flying in. We got the immigrants coming in off the boats, and nothing is being done. So it's not going to go away.
They close the schools and keep the pubs open. You know,
This is
close the
what they're
gyms.
doing, Jay. They're doing this to our veterans. They're letting our veterans go without, and they're putting these people that are coming across to this country, and they're giving them everything, and they're giving our veterans that are full, so we could have our democracy, so we could have the freedom of speech, the right of self-recognition and not self-indignation, to carry on living our lives as normal, and they've just ruined everything.
But the thing is, if we do go into this lockdown, you got to think of the old people who may even be scared to go out if they're elderly. I mean, I've heard old people saying, "Oh, I don't want to go out because if I catch it, you know, I'm vulnerable. I could die." You know, old people, they know that they're the people that will suffer most if they catch this virus. You know, and I've always said, it's not that there's no virus. I don't believe what the government tell us about it. But if you're an elderly person, you're in your 80s, 90s, or you've got health issues,
Yeah,
you are vulnerable, you know. And I can understand why people in that situation are reluctant to leave the house with what they're being told, you know.
Yeah,
So
but
I'll say to anyone listening, if you've got a neighbour that's like elderly that may not be happy to leave the house, just knock on their door and say, "Do you need anything from the shop when you go shopping?" Pick them up a bag of shopping, you know. Because I think if we should, no one else is going to do it. The government aren't going to go around and look after those that are afraid to leave the house, you know. So
yeah, but they've got these homes now. A majority of them have got gardens. Why can't they allow their family to come and see them?
yeah,
You know, they can keep the distance. You know, you can't lock them up and not expect them to see their families.
I mean
It's
in the
so-
care homes, you mean?
Sorry?
You mean the care homes?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
My son-in-law's in a care home, and my daughter is a deputy manager in a care home.
Yeah,
And it was his birthday in August, and he was allowed to come home for a week. He had the test, and then when he went back, he had the test, and he was isolated for 14 days. Right? He's allowed to come home Christmas, as long as he's a test and he gets isolated when he comes back. Now, why can't they do that? Why can't my daughter has free? She goes to see him 3 times a week in the garden. 2 people are allowed. You know, where's the harm? Where is the harm in them letting them see their families? Jean's husband, she hasn't seen him for months. He's left in a room all day. He doesn't get taken out of the room. He's just sat there on his own, you know, and the only communication he gets is when they take his meals or take his tablets in.
Mhm.
You know,
Jean. I mean, it's the same with Jane Holmes. She's
that's
in
what that's what I just said.
herself.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, that must, you know, when you're elderly, the best thing you can have is company. The crave for that, it's like a craving. And the
connection.
That's away for the elderly. It's as if they're wanting to bump them off.
yeah. I mean, Jean, we all know how independent Jean is, you know, but she's in sheltered accommodation and she can come and go as she pleases, but she's so lonely there. they can't mix with the other people, you know.
I had a ding dong with Kathy the other day about now. She wanted me to take her somewhere, and she said to me, "You're going to wear a mask," because Kath's not been out for a year. She's not been out at all for a year. No, we've been nowhere for a year. She stayed in the house virtually for a year. She's been a prisoner in there because she's got underlying health issues and she's very, very poorly. She had this rheumatoid infusion, and it gave her diarrhea and sickness, and she's been in bed for 2 days, and she's still saying 2 days later, her neck and her cough are so painful for this infusion that's supposed to help, because she's got a curvature of the spine through rheumatoid arthritis, and a neck where they irradiated her so much through the irradiation that her skin will never heal if they do anything to her skin, because it's like leather. And Kathy's nil by mouth. She can't swallow anything. Like we sup in a cup of tea now, Sandy, and we take it for granted. She can't even swallow her own saliva. She has to go through a box of tissues a day. And this woman says to me, "Are you going to put a mask on when you're out?" Because whether there's something there or there's not something there, if there is an underlying flu virus out there, say hypothetically, it all comes down to some biochemical or so bioweapon that the Chinese have released in one in China. Say it is that, and it's down to that. And what excuses they're using or governments are using, I don't know. It's leading the blind amongst the blind, because it's so confusing. We need people to start speaking the truth and telling their people what is actually happening. Because my wife turned around and said to me, "You're going to put my mask on?" I'm not putting a fucking mask on. And she said, "Well, what about me? If you catch something and I catch it, I could end up dead."
Yeah, I mean,
how do you say that to your loved one? I'm not putting a mask on because I don't want to be classed as sheep. And the same as me. But if you look around at all the compliance with people, and the amount of people says, "Oh, I've got to wear a mask, the government said so," and you look at everywhere you go, no matter what town, what street, what village, or what city you go to in this country, you know, you'll see them all doing the same thing. You'll see a few people not wearing them. You'll see a few people with lanyards and saying they've got health problems or underlying issues. So they're exempt from wearing a mask. But if you look at everybody, the amount of people that accepted what this government said is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's like every other illness has gone out the window. You know, the flu's gone, that kills so many thousands every year, you know, and everything's put down to COVID. You know, someone, just an old person dying of old age, natural causes. They died of COVID. You know, the patients.
That's gone on our records, that has.
Yeah.
They've used that old chestnut on too many cases, and they put the virus down. Whether they've been signed D notices, so they can't say anything or do anything, and like Jason might pick up on this, because whether 5G is something that affects the immune system, right, with its radiation that it gives off, whether this COVID attacks the immune system, what's left of it after 5G, I don't know about all this. I'm not the perfect person to talk about this. But you know, if we're to believe in all of this, we're in a bloody big mess. I tell you, bloody big mess.
Yeah.
All I was saying, Alan, to the 5G thing is, I mean, I don't know the first thing about 5G, so I can't tell people what to believe or not to believe. All I can tell people is go and do your own research. Be careful what you listen to and who you listen to. Yeah. Check everything twice and maybe 3 times, and don't take anything as gospel until you've actually studied it, checked it, verified it, because there are false prophets out there. Okay, and that applies to all topics on the internet. There are false prophets that would take a subject and make it something that will put them on the stage, you know, and you've got to be wary of that. And just do your own research, double check, triple check everything, you know. we can't believe all we hear, but we shouldn't dismiss anything without checking. You know, that's all I can really say.
That's actually a very good point, a very valid point. Truthfully, it's like, you know, that you've been. It's what did somebody say? Boris Johnson was going to make a speech last night about the COVID and about the lockdown. He went on national telly, although he was a couple of hours late. And then somebody said, or it's like the mad ex-murderer. Somebody gets hold of a story, and by the time it gets to the bottom of the street, you know, it's the mad ex-murderer scenario. And somebody says, has Boris Johnson resigned? And I thought, well, I hadn't heard anything. But that's how stories start.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like cry wolf. You know, if you cry wolf too many times, you get ignored. But the wolf still exists. You know, and one day it could come and bite you. You know, so you can't dismiss things because you've heard hype or things that have been bigged up or dramatized. You can't dismiss it and go, oh, well, it's not true. It's like I've heard so many things about COVID, and then I hear people going, it's all bollocks. It's all complete crap, because they've heard so much misinformation that it's made them go the opposite and dismiss everything. You know, my personal opinion, and it's only my opinion, is that there is a virus, but it's not what we've been told by the government that it is.
Absolutely, and that's where I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
I think, you know, last Christmas, you know, I was really ill from Christmas Day.
Yeah, we
and
were.
in the end, I had to go to an emergency doctor.
Pneumonia.
Yeah, they put me on oxygen, called an ambulance. I was taken to the hospital. They'd done all these tests. They gave me a face mask, and then they came in with 2 boxes of antibiotics, 2 different ones, and one of the tests hadn't come back. So they said they'd phone me on the Monday morning, because I'd gone there on Sunday. And they phoned me Monday morning and said, you've got a strain of flu, you've got to be isolated for 14 days.
Now, Sue, if that would have been 3 months down the line, that would have been classed as COVID.
Yeah, but COVID was out then.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying to you, if it had been not January, if it had been May, you would have been classed as having COVID.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, like, I isolated, which I did, and I'm vulnerable. I've got bad lungs and everything, you know, and yet I was ill, but not the way they're saying there is, you know. And yeah, there are people that could die of it. I'm not saying that. But it's, you know, I definitely believe I had COVID, but because it wasn't sort of known about.
This classification weren't there then, was it?
No.
See, the thing is here as well. Do you know if anybody's, you know, friends, family, anything, have you got anything there that you know of has died of COVID?
I don't know anybody that's died of it, no.
No.
I don't know anybody that's died of it. I know somebody who's had it. Our next door neighbour had it. Oh, that's what they told her.
Aye,
And she had respiratory problems, and she was given oxygen, and she was quite poorly. But it's what comes with it that affects the rest of your body, your lungs and your heart and your other organs in your body. It's not like a flu, as they say. It attacks other parts of your organs or other parts of your body, but there again, it's not as bad as Spanish flu.
You know, they're saying that as a curable thing. You know, if you take the right precautions in that, it is curable. But then your MPs are telling you, no, you catch that, you're dead. You know, so who do you believe? I mean,
so if they're saying then you've got to isolate for so long, and then you isolate it, and once you get it, you become immune. So if you become immune, and then they're telling you you've got to wear a face mask because that protects other people, and the figures are still going up, and people still were catching it a second time, then where's that leave us?
Yeah.
Is there no end to it?
As Jason was saying there, and I do believe that as well, with what we all were saying really, is that there is something out there, but it's nothing like what we are getting made out. We know our National Health Service is in crisis, and you see people have been waiting a long time for operations and stuff, all cancelled.
Yeah.
That costs
Well, all
money.
treatments.
That all costs money.
Yeah, but if you look at hospitals, Sandy, hospitals, you go into hospital, I went with Hospital Cafe, they're all empty, mate. You go to these testing stations and testing places. If the virus is that bad, why aren't they using the Nightingale hospitals? Why aren't there more people in these testing stations? And why are there not more people in hospitals? None of it makes any sense.
And they're saying 98% of the people survive it. So why are they looking for a vaccine?
Well, was it last night, Angie and Tinky? They went out and they went up to one of these centres.
That's right.
They're shutting the curtains so you can't see in. You know,
I'm going to give them a big shout up on here because I think Angie and Tinky are absolute brilliant campaigners.
Yeah.
And what they do on the streets is absolutely phenomenal. And I wish Jay could get them back on, even if it came on after us. And they give them a slot after us. It came on at 8 o'clock or something like that, or 8:30, and let them have a slot after us. So I think we need to have them back on because they're both outstanding campaigners. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And when they're on the street, they don't give a shit.
no.
They don't care what they say. They don't care who they challenge. They will take on them all. And I say good luck to them. But there should be more people like that that's going to stand up for us.
Yeah.
So that's a big shout for Angie and Tinky there.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. But I was going to say that, but I forgot now. Yeah, if you go up to round the Houses of Parliament, which I noticed when I went to see John and Dylan off, there are no 5G masks down there.
No,
Around there, none at all.
I know.
Funny that, isn't it?
Mm.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not being funny. I don't know if there's any down here. I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I can put them next to a school or a sports field.
Yeah.
And the one that gets me as well is you see the Scottish Parliament up here, and they're all in the main chamber talking on all the business. No one's got a mask on. And then they're coming walking down the stairs for the main chamber, and they're all close together, walking away, no masks. Now, this is the leaders of your country up here in Scotland is telling us, you know, Nicola and co, oh, wear a mask, don't go out and don't visit your family, and don't do this. And they're walking away talking to each other.
Did you see Tommy Robinson was at Speaker's Corner
Yeah.
and got arrested?
Yeah, for speaking out.
And he was just about to leave, so they chose their moment. And see what they did with the people. They used the railings and they used a front line and a back line, like the kettling system. This kettling system's been going on for a long, long time. We used to use it in football matches. And if they wanted to sort out people, rival supporters or headhunters or whatever the case might be, or some of the ringleaders, as they might call them, they used to do that kettling system, and they used to funnel you down from 20 to about 2 or 3, and then just grab hold of you and pull you out like they did with upon the little veteran, Nobby down at
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is getting a joke now.
If you do anything against the government, they don't like that. It was like up here in Scotland with Rabes, brilliant guy, and oh Jesus,
yeah, absolutely.
He knows that inside out.
Lovely guy.
And he went up to the Scottish Parliament where
he knows his common law as well, you know, Sandy.
Was brilliant, absolutely.
He is. And I'll tell you something as well, that Robert knows his Abroad Treaty very well.
Yeah, I know Robert. I've met him in the Saturdays. He's always there supporting us. He's brilliant man. And of course, he went up to the Scottish Parliament and served the papers on him.
Yeah, I see that.
They weren't letting him in, but he managed to get this police guy to take them and sign for them.
Yeah.
So that didn't do too well.
Yeah, no, he did brilliantly in the end, but the fobbing off that they gave and the extremes they went, they had people even running away from him at one stage.
Yeah, well, it's Rabes, a week passing Saturday, and he was up in Glasgow.
And I see it.
And the next thing, the police are in and they arrested him.
Yeah, and I see.
Came along to the police station in Govan. He was in there for about 3 hours.
Released no charge.
Released no charge, but he's not allowed to go into Glasgow and speak. Now, how can you say you're not charged, but you're not getting into Glasgow to speak?
See, that in itself. See, what the police in this country have forgotten what they're actually there for. They've forgot the role of the constable. They have come now implicit in everything the government say, right? And they are a part of the problem now. You know, it's like if you got the troops out, do you think the troops would side with the people or with their senior officers? If the senior officer gives a soldier an order, that soldier is going to take that order. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
But look who's the police are down to. Khan. Khan's responsible for them. And, you know, like when we all go out on demos and the police attack us, do they attack Black Lives Matter? No, because you bet your life Khan's give the order they're not allowed to.
Well, you've had different protests since then, and the police haven't done anything to the protesters since. And if we turn around and say Muslims, blacks, or whatever the case might be, we've become racist because we're using terminology that is easier to use and call us racist, right?
Yeah.
We know different, Sue, because we were brought up in children's homes all our life with every colour and creed as babies, and Sandy would have said the same. There were black kids in quarries as well, or black families, and we had it all our lives. They ate from the same table. They wore the same clothes as we did. They got the same beatings and sexual and physical and mental and tortured the same as we were. So there was we've not got an ounce of racism in our bodies because our brothers and sisters went the same way as we did. And it's not about the colour of your skin, it's the colour of your blood.
Yeah. I mean, look at that big meeting in London. Was it outside the French embassy? All them Muslims there. Not one of them had a mask and they was all standing together. And I think it's done about them there. You know, it's wrong, but if that was us, it would kick off.
You said something there about Khan. There should have been an election in July for the new leader of the Mayor of London. And it got postponed, and the fucker's still there to this day, still getting his money from June to now when he should have been out of office.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy who was interviewing that, can you?
Yeah.
With the Black Lives Matter, they were a rally on down in London.
Yeah.
And then they were one about the kids abuse. And he was fucking, I'm sorry for the language, but he's telling the police, get into the ones, you know, get into the ones that's on the one about child abuse. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, leave the language. That's wrong.
Well, one of
because what that's causing is blacks fighting against white, and this is what they want.
yeah, divide.
The problem away, and there's
divide, conquer, and rule.
Idiots. Yeah, there are too many idiots. Oh, I'm black, I'm getting treated wrong. Oh, I'm white, I'm getting treated wrong. If we all come together and united as one and challenge these buggers, boot them out, put them in the arse right out of power.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll totally agree with you. If we're paying all this money to the Liberals, if we're paying all this money to MPs, if we're paying all this money to the Labour backbenchers that will not get in power, and you look at the anti-Semitism remarks and stuff like that, Corbyn, look at Keir Starmer, he was a part of it. What's he on about? You know, talking about Corbyn, for Christ's sake, when he was a part of it. He's implicit in everything.
Well, look, Alan, this is a good time to mention what happened today in Speaker's Corner, okay? I know that your show isn't about politics and left and right and all of that. It's focused on the children. But we can't not mention what happened to Tommy Robinson in the park.
Absolutely.
And I've just been sent a video, and the title, and I've had to watch a bit of it, and it's hilarious. The title is Tom Zero News Pissed in a Taxi. It's not a stitch-up video. It's a friend of his. It's been filmed by a busker. Now, Tom and Busker are friends, so this is just friendly banter. And I'm sure Tom won't mind me sharing it. Would you mind if I play it? It's,
go on, no, go ahead. Yeah, sounds good.
It's 7 minutes, and I found it quite funny. And but you know how when people are drunk, they say a lot of things that are true, and they speak their minds. And this is Tom pissed and being quite philosophical about what happened with Tommy.
Sometimes does talk.
Yeah, it makes people be very philosophical
Yeah.
and say what they think. And Tom's always, even when Tom isn't drunk, and he's not one for, I've never seen him drunk before, but he's when he's drunk, he seems to be an exaggerated version of what he is like when he's sober, a truth teller. So, let's see if I can screen share it. Bear with me. It doesn't always work when I try and do this, so we'll see how it goes. If it's like not working, then just scream at me and I'll stop it.
Okay.
I'm hoping the sound will work as well. If you can't hear it, again, scream and tell me. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bit dark.
Yeah, it's dark. It's a dark video. It's the back of a taxi, so
Yeah.
it's very dark. It's more what you can hear, but the voice you hear is Zero News Tom, and he's been on the red wine apparently.
We did it though. We did it.
Can you hear that?
We did it.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. I will let it play out.
Tom's pissed in the back of the taxi. And you can have some of that. I've got two for you. In fact, you know what? That's what you got. That's what you got. For anybody that didn't agree with what we did today, that's all for you. That's all for you. Oh, I love it. No, I ain't feeling great, alright?
I've had a good day.
This is to all those patrons out there. Stop being dicks. Start filming. Start filming everything. Join in with us. Right, where were you today? When we were down this corner, where were you? We need you to turn up because had there been different numbers today, you would have made the difference.
Yeah, there you go.
You would have made the difference.
And there's no excuse. I come all the way from
And I'm not trying to shame anyone.
all the way from
I'm
where?
not trying to shame anyone.
Friday.
All I'm saying is, if you hadn't been there, you would have made the difference. So that's what you get or not. No, seriously, you would have made a difference. Please, please, please. I know COVID, all this other stuff, it's really difficult. But we need people who care to be there when we need you. Otherwise, this is all over. And other than that, I don't believe in COVID.
That's bullshit.
It is bullshit. It is. Even if it wasn't, the way it's been managed is, yeah, draconian.
Yes.
And inconsistent. And there was police officers today twice contradicting each other. Yeah. Contradicting themselves. They were contradicting themselves. And oh, Busker, you laugh it up. You laugh it up. and as a result, we at least know there's a split in the police force. Busker's sitting behind his little camera laughing his head off. But he thinks it's all so funny. You wait till next time we're doing this. I'm going to film every single thing he does. Even when he goes to the toilet. He looks really evil. I am clean. I'm coming for you, Busker. Coming for you, Busker. Never let Tom drink red wine again.
Yeah, no.
Oh, so good.
We remember that. Next time.
I never drink at these things.
One
But
hell of a
the thing
YouTube
of it
video.
is, today was the first day in the year where
News
I
exposed.
could go and yeah, right, it's totally exposed. Do you want to see exposed? No. But in all seriousness, like I can't even remember what I was going to say. In all seriousness, I have a memory loss.
That's red wine, isn't it?
That is red wine, and that is just brain damage probably. But no, seriously, we need you to come and support us because you see Danny Roscoe's speech today. Danny Roscoe is fighting against Black Lives Matter primarily, actually, and he is not a token as people would use him as. That's just an excuse.
Yeah.
Because for the fact that somebody is actually on our side. What he is a conduit for more people of mixed race
Conduit.
and full race to realise it's okay to stand on the right, because the right is not a straight line to the far right. The right, so think of it like north, south, east, west. Yeah. If you think of it in those terms, you've got the right there, far right up there. You've got the left there, and the far left down there. So that's to the far right. To all of you on the far right that tried to beat me up the other day, yeah, keep trying, because I will film you doing it. I will film you doing it and show you for what you are, and we'll get your faces. Carry on. But for the rest of it, it was a good day, with the exception of Tommy getting arrested. For absolutely.
What's your opinion on it, Tom? What's your opinion on Tommy getting arrested?
I think it was planned.
100%.
I think it was planned ahead of time.
Yeah.
I think they thought they would give him X amount of minutes, which is ridiculous when you think the whole thing probably lasted no more than a half hour. We were moving. We were actually backing. We were moving away just like they were asking us to do. And then, Tommy had an offensive weapon. Oh no, he's not doing an offensive weapon now. Now they've realised that it's a COVID violation.
Yeah.
So why weren't we all arrested then? Oh, because his name's Tommy.
Yes.
That's the reason.
Your name's Tom.
My name is Tom, but guess what? What happens when I say my name's Tommy?
What's that?
My birth certificate name is Tommy. And Tommy, I'm after you for this, right? I'm after you for this. You've got 100 names, right? And yet I'm not allowed to say Tommy, because when I say, oh, my name's Tommy, they say, oh, there's only one Tommy. I'm all right, I'm Tom then. Because otherwise I'm going to get beat up. So,
back of a taxi.
As much as I support Tommy, we will be caught. No, I love Tommy. And what happened to him today was
disgusting.
Out of order.
It's one above bullying. It's one above bullying. He was trying to get out, and I can tell you, as someone who's filming, we were trying to back up, and there was people pushing us the other way. So we were doing the best that we could, and we were still making ground despite those people pushing. So it is not on Tommy, it's not on the rest of us, it's on whoever was stopping us from getting out. Even then, we were still moving. So this is all BS, which is why they changed it to, oh, he had an offensive weapon to, oh no, he didn't have an offensive weapon.
Are we here?
Oh, is this it?
Code station to your right.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. Cheers, right?
Right, well, there you go. Did you all manage to hear and see with that, or did it mess up?
Yeah. No, could hear it.
Oh, cool. Couldn't see much. It was pretty dark.
No, but it was good.
Yeah. Well, that's Zero News after a bit of wine. But he done a really good job today in Speaker's Corner. He done a great job filming it all. And it was right in the thick of it. His camera got broke as well, which wasn't good. I think the camera stand or something got broken in the scuffle.
Now, who was in the cab then? Zero
and Busker, and I don't know who else.
And who?
Somebody from Wales was in the cab.
Yeah,
going
there
back
was a
to
woman,
Wales.
wasn't there?
There was. I don't know who it is. Maybe Busker or Zero who's got lucky. Who knows?
He was actually, Zero was quite comical.
He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy.
He's quite. Actually quite like him.
You know, he's a genuine guy. I like him too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to be going because I know this is awful, but my program's on at 9.
Oh, what's your program, sir?
Are you going to laugh, aren't you?
Now, come on, you got to tell us now.
Towie.
Oh,
No, not Towie.
Oh,
I'm worse. I live in Towie.
You're having a laugh, you are. Anyway, I'm going to go. I'm going to leave you guys to it.
I'm worse. I live there.
I used to live there. Well, I lived near there,
Yeah.
years ago.
God.
I'm
But
going
I
to
do
leave
like
Sandy
it.
in, so you can take for another 5 minutes or so, because I'm going to leave.
Yes,
It's
sir.
freezing in the
Okay.
conservatory, and I'll speak to you soon.
Well, should we wrap up? I mean, do you all want to wrap up now on that note, or do you want to carry on for a while? It's up to you guys.
It's up to you guys. I'm going to go off, but it's up to you, Sandy. And Sue.
It's kind of your show. It's your show, Alan. So if
Yeah,
you're
I know,
going,
but they are co-hosts as well.
I know, but can they be
I
trusted?
think he keeps threatening to sack me, he does.
Well, yeah, well,
Barring me.
No, if you want to carry on chatting, you're more than welcome.
she's always got plenty to say,
Oh,
as you can tell.
But she's got a program to go and watch. She can't
Yeah,
make
she's got
it
15 minutes yet. You've got 15 minutes yet.
I have to go and clean my teeth.
Make a cup of tea, get the biscuits.
Yeah. No, I don't have to make that. George makes that for me.
Sandy's got something to tell you, Sue, anyway.
What?
I'll see you all later.
Okay, see you, Alan.
See you later. See you later.
Yeah.
Come, Sand.
What you got to tell me then? Sandy. Can't hear you. Put your phone on.
You tell him, Sue.
Yeah. Turn it.
Let me see if I can unmute him. I've done it.
Up, Sue.
Turn your
So
hearing
what
aid.
you got to tell me? I haven't got my hearing aid in.
I don't know what he's on about. I had something to tell you.
Jane's kicked him out and he wants to move in. How is Jane, by the way, Sandy?
She's not too bad.
That's good.
Yeah.
Last week she was a bit sore, but she slept all day virtually. She was a wee bit sore for yesterday. It was pretty cold in Glasgow yesterday.
Yeah.
And then, well, she was up most of the night last night to me. And well, the two slept most of the day, but she's doing not too bad, you know. So
you're still getting your cups of tea made for you?
yeah,
I know what you're like. Yeah.
You're terrible. Oh, did your kids do Halloween last night, Jason?
No, well, my youngest is now like too old for Halloween, but she doesn't believe that. You know, apparently I went to a few neighbours, but she's like, I said to her, like, basically you're too old for Halloween. It's like you're mugging people. She's like, I'm still a kid. You know what kids are like. You know, they're a kid when it's Halloween, and they're not a kid when it's like, I'm not a kid anymore. You know.
Yeah.
They play it both ways.
I had my great granddaughter came round Friday with a pumpkin.
Right.
So I cut that and she scooped it all out.
Yeah.
And she said she wants a green face. So I found some green paint and put some food colouring in to make it greener, to be a witch.
Oh God.
And
did it wash off?
It didn't even dry.
Oh God.
So I had to wipe it all off, and I was putting spiders all over its face and putting hair on and got my glue gun out. Yeah, she'll be round tomorrow. I haven't seen her. She hadn't even turned up for it. So I was... What?
What else did you do to the pumpkin?
Oh, I put false teeth in it.
Oh God.
Yeah. Because I make my own false teeth because I've got two missing, so I make my own. And I've got a tin of false teeth. And it was me. Do you know what I had to use to blacken them with? My eye mascara.
Yeah.
Doing that, stuck them in, and I waited for her, got all her sweets. Not seen her yet. She comes for her pumpkin tomorrow. It's in the bin.
I thought you would have kept that in case you just pull the pumpkin on.
Yeah, but
yeah, bro.
But we didn't have any trick or treaters.
I didn't get it either.
But we had bloody fireworks going off at 1 this morning.
I've had that tonight as well.
Yeah, it's a bloody joke. You know, I just feel sorry for the animals.
Yeah, especially when people does it. You know, they go into the country and go let rockets and stuff. You know.
Yeah, and when a car comes, we all put our heads down over the fence so they can't see our faces. Yeah. the pitch black. But I mean, my husband died bonfire night, so we normally set rockets off for him because he kept saying he was a spaceman, and he'd come here, his spaceship had crashed landed, and he didn't know where to find it. You know, so we was going to send him up in rockets, but we go to a place where there's hardly anyone about because of the animals. You know, and I think people are really inconsiderate when it comes to them. You know, but
No.
you can't tell them, can you?
Well, Jane and I, we go to corners every year for a stroke of midnight, bringing in the new year. And we let off rockets. And we let off 4, north, east, south and west. And that's for our brothers and sisters who's round the world. It's just like a wee mark of respect, and then we'll have some fireworks. We've done that every year for a while. And plus, it lets quarriers know that our voices are not silent anymore. So it's good for 2 reasons. And Christ, I've got a load still sitting over there.
Well,
I'm building up for this year's display. But we do that every year. We go up there. We don't want to scare any animals. We had one wee accident the other year there, and it was a rocket, and I stood in a stick, and I broke it. So I come up with an ingenious idea. If I get duct tape and I tape it onto another rocket, surely to God it would go up. So I lit the 2 rockets, and it was going up straight. And I said, I goes to Jane, I goes, yeah, that's sort of not too bad. Jane goes, that's what it is. And then all of a sudden, our son took a dive and made the duck, and it flew over our heads.
Bloody hell.
And Chris,
You put a rocket on a rocket.
Chris in the hole, I'm not kidding you, then bang this thing on the off-way. The 2 of them exploded at once. Bloody bang. But unknown to us, it was a sheep. A field of sheep.
Oh, God.
But there were no sheep injured. I must make that clear. There were no sheep injured, but by God, they can run.
God. That's wicked.
And I'll tell you one thing. So could Jane. She was off. For somebody who's no well like her, she can run.
Right, keep Sandy away from the fireworks next year.
Yeah. Well, we set 2 off when we was up there hiding in the dark from everyone, and only one went off.
They were a good bag off, eh?
Yeah. You know, we just we go up here so quarriers don't know it's us. You know, after we'd thing, and then the car comes and everyone's hiding.
They do know, so they don't know. You just
You know, but not that I like fireworks. I don't.
No, but we do just look at a mark of respect, you know, for our brothers and sisters. We do it in New Year. And plus, it's to let quarriers know we will not be silenced.
Yeah.
We'll never silence us now. You know?
Yeah. Oh, changing the subject, down here, because they're not doing their Memorial Day services. So down on the beach, they put an old car frame and you put poppies on it. And you know, some bastards only nick mounting plates to it. You know, how mean can you get? You know, no respect whatsoever. No, just annoys me, it does.
But it's like when people steal. I hate that. Doesn't matter what it is.
No.
With the kids' toys. You know, that was for to try and give a few kids a wee Christmas present. So on Christmas Day, some bugger nicks them. No. Bad.
No. It is awful. Well, I'm going to donate to the food bank this week. Some nice little bits, you know, to help them. Because it is tough out there. A real struggle.
You know what I would say to Sue regarding the food banks is look into how they run, because a lot of them are run like a bit of a commercial enterprise.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I'm more a fan of going to the street and finding someone that's homeless on the street. You know, personally, I'd recommend go and buy a dozen pairs of socks or a dozen pairs of gloves or something, wrap them up, stick a bar of chocolate in with it or something, and go and hand them out to people on the street. You know, straight to the source. Because these food banks, they're not what they always appear to be. You know.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a thing.
I'm sure they're helping people, but at the same time, they are. You know, you got to look into who manages and runs these food banks.
Yeah. I've done it in Dundee. I used to go, there were a crowd of us all went out into the street and we would collect for the food banks. And I'll name when it comes. And it was the Trussell Trust we done it for.
Yeah.
And back down in the home area, I started to get one going.
Yeah.
Paisley. And give me the Trussell Trust, and now that is true. I set up a meeting with Trussell Trust in Paisley, and I went and seen them, and the fella that ran it and told me, because we don't need your support. We get enough donated in every year, every week. We don't need any more people to help us. He goes, and just there at Christmas, he goes, we had that much food. He goes, we actually put it into a skip. Now, the Trussell Trust in Glasgow had run out of food. Why did they not shift that food up to Glasgow?
Yeah, common sense, isn't it?
You know, so, no,
Yeah.
that's how I went, no, this
I
is...
don't know about your area, Sue, or your area, Sandy, but where I live, the local church does a soup kitchen, you know, and they do it every night of the week, you know, and a few churches get together and take it in turns. So, you know, a much better idea is to go to the church and say, look, do you need a box of tea bags or tins of soup? Because then it's going to go straight to the source, you know. I would look at something run by a church over a food bank any day, you know.
Well, we've got a group called Warming Up the Homeless, and they go between Hastings here and Eastbourne, and they are brilliant. And they've actually opened a shop up now down in town, you know, where you can go and donate, and people can buy things as well, which the money goes to them. But I think they've been going a couple of years, but before that, we had, I think they were called the street preachers, used to go out every now and again. But I used to make big saucepans of stew. Me and my grandson used to go down there at midnight and hand it out around, and anything, you know, that we thought they needed. But we're doing here as well, shoebox. Yeah. As well, we're doing, you know, they do tend to help the homeless down here. You know, so I can't knock them.
Every Saturday night in Glasgow, this has been around for years, and they go out with soup and a roll of bread, a slice of bread, and it's for the homeless. And I remember just when I moved up to Glasgow at first, I was 16. I mean, I was a country boy. I didn't, you know, city life, wow, brilliant. And I seen this Saturday night, and them giving out all this soup. I hadn't a clue what it was about. I thought it was just, he called man a cup of soup, you know. And it wasn't till I went home and I was saying to my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law at the time, and they were telling us about this. I think it's a brilliant idea, you know, for the homeless, because there are people in that street tonight sleeping, and there are people who walk by them, and you're called every name under the sun. They know nothing about these folk.
No.
I've been there, and I've experienced it firsthand. I had to sleep in the street. I'd done it for about 3 months, just over 3 months. I was called a junkie, an alcoholic. I had folk pissing on me. I've had it all. I've had that.
Yeah, I was lucky when I was on the streets.
It was tight and me at the time. And thank God I had a really good friend that bailed me out. Bailed me out, took me to his place, got me a wash, a change, a clothes and stuff. Got me a house to live in. Aye, I've got a lot to be thankful for. But I don't like this with people they judge. You know, they don't know anything about the people, why they're out there. They'll not take 5 minutes of their time to talk, but they would rather talk about them. And this is the society we are building. We're building this.
Yeah.
You know, our governments are helping us to do this. Oh, people sleeping in the street, they're junkies, they're this, they're that, blah, blah. Just spend 5 minutes, talk to them.
Yeah, because a lot of them are soldiers.
Why are they junkies? Why are they alcoholics? Get behind the story. You know, too many people, they want to buy the book, but they don't want to read what's inside it.
Yeah.
They make their own story up, and it's bad that. It's bad. You know, but it's a shame, you know, it's a shame, but that's a good thing you were saying about. But I'm all in favour of this for the homeless, you know, helping them.
Yeah.
The brilliant thing up in Dundee, and it's run by Muslims, and it's taught by Muhammad, and they run a soup kitchen every day of the week. It's on Christmas a lot, and it's there for the homeless. And they can go up and they can get a breakfast in the morning. They get a breakfast in the morning. They get a meal at 12, and then it's in the afternoon. I think it's 5 o'clock or something like that. They can get an evening meal just to keep them going. You know, and it's all free.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. And
Yeah.
this, people donating in, you know, to this food bank thing. Or a soup kitchen there on. It's a brilliant idea. And this
Right, Sandy, I think we better wrap up, Sandy, because I can tell Sue's going to be nagging us about our programme in a minute. Which is 2 minutes.
And she's got a grandson phone to get his deal.
We get told off.
He's in the room next door, so I'll just call him as I'm going up on my stair lift. Bring my tea up from when I come out the bathroom and I'm already in bed. iPad.
That is bad.
He's my carer.
But give him 5 minutes. Give him a day off.
I do. He only made one cup yesterday.
Oh my God! Make up for it today.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I might ask him for some toast as well.
I believe you will.
I will. Yeah.
I love you.
So,
crazy,
you know.
Yeah.
All right then, dears. I will see you later. And thank you for the chat. And no doubt I'll talk to you tomorrow, Sandy.
No doubt you will. We are early morning cuppa. And once again, Jason, thanks again.
Yeah,
no worries.
Jason.
No worries at all.
See you later.
Okay, see you soon.
Bye.
See you, Sandy.
Bye.
Bye everyone watching.
Bye all. Bye.
Bye.